It's a midweek edition of Business Incorporated on Channels Television, and we're glad to have you. I am BC Adebayo. Coming up, Kenyan shilling census tension as early votes tally shows incumbent in the lead. In South Africa's rand weakens nearly 1.5% after President Jacob Zuma survives the 8th no-confidence vote. Plus, top Trump trade officials in Togo for a meeting to review the AGOA, a free trade pact set up for the African continent during President Clinton's regime. We're starting from the continental stock markets in Africa, where the indices are mixed at intraday. The Nigerian All-Share Index is 0.01% up, while the South African Bourse is 0.33% lower at 55,980.05. The Egyptian Index is also 0.23% down at intraday. The markets in Kenya are seen up 0.42% following elections on Tuesday. And in the Middle East, the Dubai Stock Index is down 0.14% at intraday. In neighboring Abu Dhabi, the index is also down 0.69% as Dana Gas, which is expected to report earnings on Thursday, fell 1.5%. The Doha Index is 0.6% lower as well. The Saudi Arabian Index is the only one up at intraday with 0.37%. And European stocks were driven sharply lower Wednesday as rising tensions between the U.S. and North Korea escalated, with President Trump's fire and fury warning to North Korea. Well, let's see how this is impacting the markets with Daniel Koop, who's at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Hello there, Daniel. So are the markets being really rattled by the rattling of North Korea and the response by U.S. President Donald Trump, or are these just the usual rhetorics? It appears we're having some challenges connected with Daniel there. We hope to speak with him shortly, but in the meantime, Asian stocks also fell across the board as caution hit the markets on Wednesday after North Korea's response with its most specific threats against the U.S. following President Donald Trump's latest remarks on the Kim regime. The Nikkei fell 1.14%. Meanwhile, South Korea's benchmark Kospi index fell 0.7% as the won fell about 0.5% against the dollar. Australian equities were a bright spot after underperforming yesterday. The S&P ASX 200 index rose 0.5%, with the Commonwealth Bank, CBA, whose shares have faced pressure in recent days due to possible government action against it, rose 1.2% as fiscal year earnings came in better than expected. We have Daniel Koop now back with us to tell us how the markets are reacting to President Trump's warning to North Korea. So, Daniel, are the markets really being rattled by the rattling of North Korea and, of course, the response by U.S. President Donald Trump, or are these just the usual rhetorics?
Yes, hi there, BZ. I can tell you that the markets here in Frankfurt, but also around Europe, were reacting to this latest war threat that we were hearing from Donald Trump already yesterday in the United States. The Nasdaq and the Dow Jones, they're all closed with dropping numbers. Then this morning we saw the same situation also happening in Asia, and now we can see also a direct connection to this also here in Frankfurt. When you look at the blue chip index DAX right behind me, you can see it very well. It has been dropping throughout the day. We are down right now with more than 1.5% actually. This week when we started into a new trading week, investors were hoping that we might reach the 12,300 point mark, but now we are very, very far away. In general, when you talk to investors here, they are calling the situation dangerous, also very unpredictable, because nobody really knows what is going to happen in the next coming days. And also when you look around Europe, for example, from here to London, also there the FTSE index X is down, the CAC 40 in Paris is reporting the same, and also the SMI in Zurich as well. So pretty much lots of uncertainty at the stock markets here all around Europe.
It looks like the global market sell-off that we saw yesterday is continuing today from Asia and into Europe. What else is irritating equity investors aside North Korea's Kim Jong-un?
Well, North Korea is certainly the topic number one here right now. And the thing is, and I was talking to an investor actually a little bit earlier, the problem with all of this is that we have a government right now here in the United States that many people, I mentioned it, call unpredictable. I talked to an investor a little bit earlier. He was even telling me that he has an app on his smartphone and he gets alerted whenever Donald Trump is sending out one of his very controversial tweets. And of course, we just imagine this scenario that there would be sort of a war between North Korea and the United States. Of course, we would see a massive landslide at all the worldwide markets. Another reason why we are also not having a very successful trading day here today is that the energy giant E.ON, a huge German energy company, came out with numbers today. In general, actually, with good reports. They had strong winnings in the second quarter, but still the expectations of investors were higher, and that's why we also see the shares of E.ON dropping today. When you look again at the blue chip index DAX, you know that 30 indexes, 30 companies are listed in the blue chip index DAX, and just 29, so basically all of them, 29 of those shares are falling at the moment. Also, we are not getting a huge boost right now from the United States. Last week there was good news. We remember that the job market is performing very strong in the United States, but in general we are dealing right now with a slower growing economy, and that's also not giving the market the boost that it would need right now to jump.
Well, finally, Daniel, are the markets in Europe keen about the political and market news out of South Africa, considering the strong trade and economic link between Europe and SA?
Well, the scandal involving the South African president Jacob Zuma, and also the effort right now of basically getting him out of the seat of command of his country is of course monitored here, but everything right now is overshadowed with the war tension between the United States and North Korea. But yes, you mentioned it, trade is important between South Africa and the European Union, and investors are monitoring the situation also there with concern, because we know that Jacob Zuma has been involved in different scandals. Because of that, right now the economy of South Africa is not growing as strong as it's supposed to be. Also, we just got a few moments the report that the currency is also dropping, and yeah, so this is watched here. Europe has a big interest that there is a good connection, a good economical connection between the European Union and South Africa. So even though this is overshadowed by North Korea and the United States tension, investors here are monitoring this at the stock exchange as well.
Many thanks, Daniel, for this update. We'll see you again tomorrow.